So we joined three people together and decided to build atelier for photography, my multimedia atelier for making sound installation and instruments, and sound studio that we will have together with my friend Kuba. And it was kind of dream to have together the workshop room and next door studio, and to connect machines with the recording possibilities, to build some objects and record them in a quality way, use it in a studio. So I'm really looking forward to this combination. And the reason was also, of course, the need for privacy. And after my daughter was born, it was more difficult to work at home because she always want to join, which is fine sometimes, but sometimes you need some concentration. So we decided to rent this quite big trafo station to build these facilities or ateliers here, which is kind of a big adventure because we have a low budget and we try to do as much as we can. We are learning new thing, how to build electricity, how to build a wall and stairs and all these things that we didn't do before. So yeah, it's also part of experimental life, I think. I hope it will lead to more effective way, in some sense, that everything will be together, prepared. I hope it will also be more effective in a social aspect, that we are together and we will bring other people here. We want to invite some cooperation to share the space with other artists also, if they will need something to record or to listen in the studio. It will be some kind of low budget for a friendly price for it, not like typical professional studio. That's not our intention. And yeah, so I hope that we will find some community around slowly. And also the size is important, that it is possible to make some bigger sculpture and test it, how it works, how it looks, and like prepare for an installation situation in gallery, also for concert that is possible to like practice in a situation more close to the stage situation. In the beginning we were 7 people actually, and during the process 4 left. Actually the initiator, who wanted just studio for himself, so we then stayed before decision if we will continue just small 3 people or not. And we had already so much energy involved just in this decision making and project planning. So I decided to continue because I thought it's wasting of energy, but I couldn't imagine how much is in front of us. And still it is. So we started to work on June 2017. Now we have November almost. I must work before Christmas. I must finish it to some working state, but final I think it will be before summer, because I really need to repair one installation that was broken, and I need a space for this work. So I need to build the space for the work as soon as possible. So probably I will not paint the wall, and I will just keep it in this rough, because I like it somehow, this kind of not clean situation. It was very beautiful, actually. It was a really hard decision to build the walls in this nice big hall. We really enjoyed it, but for our intentions, 3 rooms or 3 subjects of interest must be divided. It's impossible to have sound studio and next door some metal work, just not open. It will be like this metal dust into the mixer is not a good idea. I remember the first impact of music on me that was done in a dream that happened to me quite often. It was a repeating dream, and it always wake me up, and it was kind of strange music, kind of the decaphonic, non-comfort disharmonic music, which was produced by some object that was sitting in the kitchen, and I was like running out of this object, and I hit the brick in the bathroom and broke the brick. And actually we had this broken brick in the bathroom, so it was kind of connection to reality, this broken brick and this strange music from object. It looks like this kind of box that you sit inside, and it so it was sitting in the kitchen and making kind of Schoenberg music. So I don't know what does it mean, this dream, but sometimes I remember when I start to play some strange music, it sometimes like return me this feeling. I remember when I started to visit the guitar lesson as a child, how I was impressed by the first melodies. I played with very trivial, just exercises, but they start with rhythm, and then when I start play 2 or 3 tones, it was really wow effect. But suddenly the teacher totally killed my interest. You should behave as a musician, and how strict you have to be, and very killing all my interest for many years. And I gave up the guitar playing after 3 years, and then returned after time. But I think this education is really sometimes very bad. But then I discovered the first softwares in the computer, and it was a completely new world that attracted me so much. This first what was using was Mod Edit in a DOS operating system. It was just 4-channel 8-bit editor for tracker for music, and I completely fall in this world. And we had also, it was time when we had a group or band, and we had always problem with the drummer, to find a good drummer. So after a few months I decided to program the drums for our band, and it was like my start point to make electronic music and discover the possibilities. It was age of commercial techno, and I really hate this kind of music. And I said it to one friend, my classmate, and I said, fan of this music, I said, it can compose any idiot. And he said, so let's do it, show. And I say, okay, I will try. And then I start to compose this kind of, not just beat, but also the other thing, the melodies and the kind of bass lines and so on. And I realized it's not so easy as it sounds. Even this stupid music is, it has some, you have to be good in it. Even it sounds stupidly. But yeah, I discovered other dimension and freedom, what is possible, and keep continuing. I started to hate this strict tempo, so I start to make changes and interruptions, and then I start to make non-rhythm, which is really sometimes hard to listen, but it makes me interested in to listen and to do it. When I start to be bored about something that I already understand, I try to transform it or delete it or don't use it or try to find another possibilities. So it's steps of discovering. I like to learn, use it briefly, and when I understood, I go farther. But I can return and use it if I want. That's a good point. We were very young. We were 13 years old boys, so we started to practice in the storage room in the block of flats for the bicycles in the beginning. Then sometimes we practice at home when we need the computer. Sometimes we practice in the school where were some drums and piano, and usually at some home, at the home of the members of the band. Because we were younger than typical group age, so we didn't have the network to find a regular practicing room for bands. Yes, I had support in a way that they let me do what I like to do, or give me freedom for my interests. But also there was kind of feeling that they don't trust that it is my future, or it is something that I can do in the whole life. They thought it's just my hobby, and when I decided to study art school, it was not like super good news. But multimedia at that age, around 2000, had still some kind of sign that it is maybe good for earning money. So they said, okay. The limitation of each media was inspiring me to expand or to find another connection. That was something I was very interested in the beginning of my installation work, sort of synesthesia between sound and light, and not just in a technical way, but also in the space domain, in the location. I was using this media in a context that was not typical. Especially I put it in the nature or some sort of non-institutional situation. What I found a little bit secure in art, it starts to be boring. The fight with boredom is important. Nature is for me quite an important part of inspiration, and even I work with technologies and computers and so on. I found that I do very natural approach to the technology, that I'm trying to convert some logic that is in the nature to the systems and try to understand natural processes during the sound composition or visual, maybe light situation. The simplest thing was just to take this piece and place it in an unexpected situation. It's not just a thing that is good for portfolio or something like that, but it's a really adventure for talking to people that are not involved in art and not so much, and they are contacted with this, and this is important. But I'm not there all the time. What is the struggles during this process is the communication with some institutions that are not artistic. Like my installation in the cave, I have to communicate with the people from the caves. They don't care about art and have their own interpretation of what it is, so completely different. And this is interesting. This installation was firstly done in Bull Rock Cave, Beachy Skala in Czech. It's a very strong place with strong genius loci, which really drives me to create something for this space. I mean, I was visiting there quite often, and so I applied for the grant for it, and I unexpectedly got it, so I had to realize it, this was also a very big lesson. And yeah, I put there a 10-channel sound system on the walls and a network of 508 LEDs, also connected to Max MSP. I learned programming with Max MSP on this project, or started to learn, and put it all in this cave environment without not harming any stones, which was a condition that it must be completely unviolent to the nature. So it was difficult a little bit to hang the network on the ceiling. Actually, there was one nail from Nazis, because this cave was used also for some factories, and maybe there are some story about some kind of ritual, because it's a strong ritual cave. And I wanted to enhance this mood. And after I did it, I realized that it was not a good idea because the space was strong enough and rich symbolically and visually and historically rich space. It was kind of kitschy. It was multimedia kitsch, I found. But the intention was good. But after it, I say, well, it's too much. I think that the comfortable zones must be broken, must be step over the comfortable zones. It's really important that you learn a lot of things when you do these uncomfortable steps, which in the beginning is always like, why are you doing it? And it's easier to stay in this circle and in the safety space. And but when you reach it and do it and go through these problems, then usually I found it was good decision, because the benefits are impossible to reach in a different way. And also in today's time, I think this is very extremely important in the social bubbles that are also sort of comfortable zones that are closed. And I think it's important to cross the bubbles and go and talk, even it is not easy, or I do it in my way, maybe not too much social. I do it in my technological experiments and presentations in spaces and traveling and trying to go somewhere. It has no sense for some reason, like travel to Ethiopia or to Minsk, to Belarus, or why? There is no career, there is no benefits in the first point of view, but yeah, it has sense. When I was starting to make electronic music, I tried to make live concert of electronic music, and it's a huge topic to find a good way how to control the sound on the stage, how to make it live, or how to create, how to have a feeling that you are a musician and not just kind of computer operator. So I started to develop some devices, some sensor-based instruments that I try to understand and learn to play. More than 5 years I work with the light sensors used for controlling different parameters of sound and the pitches and sort of harmonies. It's kind of long-term research. And I want to build an instrument that will be offered to other musicians. It's almost done, but still few steps to finish. Yeah, it's like prototype of this interface that has this sensor, photo transistors that each measure the intensity of the light. And it can control different parameters. It can synthesize sounds inside this sort of microprocessor. It can also send control voltages to modular synthesizers by these outputs, and MIDI to typical other hardware synthesizers, and or connect to Max MSP page. I'm writing some code, but programmers can interpret the data in their own way. It's a list of these 36 sensors. So you can feel the movement and what's happening. It's much more playable than just touching the faders or knobs. The light can be continuous change or discrete in the same moment. It can jump very quickly. You always has this from one point to another point in some sort of time. But with light you can do it directly, which is a really special feature of the light. And you can combine this together by blinking light and moving close, far, and we use the shadows and all things that make it interesting. I'm still searching for some good way how to play it live, how to have control over things that is happening. I found actually that less is better. When I was playing in Canberra in Australia on ICAT conference, I had just a small controller and I have to deal with it, which was something completely different than I have all my big controllers where I have everything. Then I have just 8 faders and 8 buttons. But for the performance it was better because I had to choose just the most important parameters and then I have to play with it. This is a good way how to prepare for the concerts. Less options and don't search during the concert what is where and how to do it. It was because I had to do it this way. But when I have freedom and I don't have this discipline to to eliminate all the possibilities, so I always bring a lot of possibilities, and always it's difficult to orient during the concert, especially if I don't practice before and refresh all these things. I'm trying to combine the softwares that I write in MaxMSP with some analog processing in modular, which I like for some kind of liquidity continuous sounds. I like so much this clarity and sense of space, which in analog is different. It's sort of this liquidity and toughness, or something that is keeping together always. It's I can feel from the analog sounds, and I use mostly just filtering, and I control the envelopes from the computer for these analog filters, so I don't use all envelopes and LFOs so much from the hardware, but from the MaxMSP, to have possibility to sync it with other sounds that are generated in digital domain, but the controls are the same for the analog. 3 years already research that I'm trying to find some sonification technique for sonificating Mendeleev periodic table of elements and the audification of atomic spectra lines. Each element has specific light frequencies that can be converted by division to hearable range. So I use elements like aluminium, technetium, yttrium as a quartz, as a base material for this. And for me, the sounds are very interesting in the way how they are harmonic and disharmonic. Not like typical noise. There is a certain harmony which is not so clean, and I like it very much. There is something even a little bit hypnotizing, and I'm trying to discover maybe some my own logic for music. And it's a system that can be controlled live, which I tried yesterday, but also I did some composition that I record jamming and compose it in a typical timeline style. So it could be much more really precisely composed. That's what I want to do in this new studio, actually. If there will be warm in the winter. Also, the visual part of the concert was just type of sketch. It's not completely done. It looks like original atomic spectral lines, but it's not calculated precisely. It's just lines that are colorful. It's just very free interpretation of atomic spectral lines. But I keep it as a method for visualization for this type of concert. Then I have an exhibition in May in the Brno, where I want to explore some connection between objects and sound in space. Find some invisible control of sonic spaces. I want to explore the materiality of the object and focus on the acoustic sounds and processing them in a digital way. I really want to explore something what was done in history, actually, this acoustic properties of sound. But because I was working a lot in a electronic domain, I'm missing this part a little bit. And I'm also overeaten by electronic sounds. So this is kind of new big space for sonic creativity, and I want to combine it, of course, in some way.